Oh wow, isn't it funny? And it's at 33%. And why is it all red? Spooky, spookily nana no. Right, it's 1 minute 43. And it's at 33%. Right, let's move on. We can't make it. We can go red, white, and blue.
George, stop the clock. That is wrong. Here we go. On television, John, what is Judge Rinder's first name? Paul? No, it's Robert. Rob Rinder. Here we go. 12 to catch. Your time starts again. Now, the legal term du jour comes from what ancient language? Latin. Correct. Webb Ellis House is located opposite what London Stadium? Twickenham. Correct. What German car company took over Seat in 1990? Mercedes. Stop the clock. That is wrong. What German car company, John, took over Seat in 1990? Volkswagen. Is correct. We push the chaser back. 11 now to catch. John, your time starts again. Now, Venom was a 2018 hit for which Oscar-winning rapper? Eminem. Correct. What Dorset town is home to the Jurassic Skyline Tower? Bournemouth. Stop the clock. That is wrong. What Dorset town, John, is home to the Jurassic Skyline Tower? Torquay. No. Paul. No. Weymouth. Oh. Torquay's Devon. Here we go. 10 to catch. Your time starts again. Now, in 2018, NASA's InSight lander touched down on what planet? Mercury. Stop the clock. That is wrong. In 2018, NASA's InSight lander touched down on what planet? Saturn. It's wrong. It's Mars. Here we go.
Mars, you dum-dum.
Now, Tobias Ragg works for rival Barbara Pirelli in what musical? Sweeney Todd. Correct. The knot-fingered mud is a species of what crustacean? Crab. Correct. Who is the main villain in the 2001 film Shrek? Pass. Stop the clock. Who is the main villain in the 2001 film Shrek? Don't know, Brad, but I'll guess Ogre. No, Lord Farquaad. It's 8 to catch. Your time starts again now. Fashion designer Roberto Cavalli was born in what country? Italy. Correct. Which royal was eligible to vote in the 2018 US midterms? Meghan Markle. Correct. What name for the devil was an early word for a match? Lucifer. Correct. And what TV sitcom did Rene Artois run a Hello. Correct. A backhand flick is a serve in what racket sport?
Tennis.
Squash. Stop the clock. That is wrong. A backhand flick is a serve in what racket
Badminton.
sport? Table tennis. It's wrong. Badminton. It's badminton.
Ah, I got it.
Here we go. Your time starts again. Now, found on the skin, what colour are cafe au lait spots? Black. Stop the clock. That is wrong. Found on the skin, what colour are cafe au lait spots?
Hey, look, Cam.
Brown.
10
Is correct.
seconds.
Push the chaser back. 5 required.
5.
Here we go. Your time starts again. Now, Clacton-on-Sea stands... Stop the clock. That is wrong. Clacton-on-Sea stands on what sea? The North Sea. Correct. Push the chaser back. 6 now required. Your time starts again. Now, I Don't Want Nobody Babies, a lyric in what Yvonne Elliman hit? If I Can't Have You. Correct. Who wrote the poem, Oh, I Wish I Looked After
Look,
the
he's
Teeth?
going to get it.
Yeah.
Oh,
Time is up.
look at that.
8 attempts to push back, 3 executed, and the chaser needed 4 to catch you.
Absolutely gobsmacked, Brad. You know, my hero hadn't got a question wrong all day. Can't believe that I'm going away victorious.
£1,000, John. Well played, very, very good indeed. The target you set, 16 correct answers plus your 1 head start for the final chase was very, very good for a single player. So well played. I hope you've enjoyed your day.
No, it's been a wonderful and a pleasure meeting you and Paul.
And a pleasure meeting you too, John. I thoroughly enjoyed our chat. It was cracking. Congratulations. Take the £1,000.
Oh, look, he only
You've
got
not been caught. Chaser.
1,000.
Don't know what to say. Don't know what to say that I can actually say out loud, so I won't. I'll simply say that was an excellent performance and you thoroughly deserve to win.
Thank you very much indeed. Well, there you go.
He's
John
only got
takes home
$1,000. He should have
£1,000.
more than that.
Unbelievable. Takes down the 11th best player on the planet. That is Paul the Cinnamon Sinha. See, it can be done. We'll see you next time on The Chase.
Sinha.
Goodbye.
Son of man.
Tonight on One News, Australia calls in the Army Reservists to help battle the devastating bushfires. The Prime Minister bows to public pressure to do more. Iran vows revenge after the assassination of its highest military commander in an airstrike ordered by Donald Trump. And the scramble to rescue a pod of pilot whales stranded on a Coromandel beach. Thousands of holidaymakers help. Good evening. Millions of dollars have been pledged to help fight Australia's catastrophic bushfires. The Prime Minister's called in 3,000 Army Reservists. It's believed to be the first time in the nation's history. So far, 23 people have died since the fire season started, including 12 since New Year's Eve. But that toll could increase with more than 20 missing. Thousands have been displaced, with 1,365 homes destroyed in New South Wales alone. Here's the latest map of where all the fires are burning across the country. The
Wow.
worst being in the south coast. Australia correspondent Ryan Boswell is live for us from the Blue Mountains outside Sydney.
It's
Ryan.
like the whole country's on fire.
And 2 more deaths brings the total number of people killed in these fires to 23. Forensic teams are now heading to the scene. Kangaroo Island is Australia's 3rd largest island and is home to a number of threatened species, including
Oh no,
the
the
koala.
koalas
This is said to
and
be
the
an
kangaroos.
ecological disaster, with 100,000 hectares now gone up in flames. Flinders National Park is burning, and so too a luxury resort. Authorities there are on high alert. Along the New South Wales coast, the land is charred. More homes wiped out at Nelligan near Batemans Bay.
They're just a mess.
Rebecca Campbell is at breaking point.
Exhausted, devastated, and just in shock.
South at Marlua Bay, some homes were burned, others escaped.
Just hit and miss where the fires are.
Debbie and Ian Barker are staying on to fight. They have a plan to get away.
We will get the caravan out that we've got and go to the beach and, yeah, we would rebuild.
Emergency services going door to door,
Hello? Anyone home?
checking on those who haven't left.
We've got a lot of people out. There's still a lot of people that want to stay in the fen, and it's their priority to do that, but we've advised them that resources are stretched, that we can't get a truck on every property.
The hot, windy weather sparking fears that major fire fronts could merge, creating monster infernos. 80-year-old Algus thinks he's ready to battle using just buckets.
That's your only firefighting ability.
Yes, and a few shovels and things like that.
Are you scared?
No, not at all.
Inland at Batlow, pine plantations ring the town and they can go off like bombs when hit by fire. So bulldozers are knocking them down to create a buffer zone. Unlike the south coast, there's no line of retreat to a beach,
No, it's not good.
prompting a mass exodus.
Devastated, mate. Like, yeah, a lot of memories, mate.
Around the coast in Victoria, the Navy is continuing to ship out families trapped in Malakuta.
It's hard to leave, but we've got to go.
Russell's lost his home to the flames, the gravity yet to sink in.
That'll come. Now's the time for. We've got a town full of tourists, a town full of people that need help. Now's the time to buck up and get it done. We'll worry about that later.
Rob and wife Leonie have done all they can to protect their home.
No, we're okay, you know, we're doing as well as we can. It gets to you.
There's a real sense of dread here about what's to come. Evacuation centres are filling up and public parks have become camping sites as thousands continue to flee the fire zone. These firefighters have been working around the clock to get these flames under control, and one former chief says that they need more resources on the ground, in particular water bombers. Here's Channel 9's Tiffany Genders.
This aircraft is the backbone of firefighting around the world. A flying boat which can suck 6,000 litres of water in a single scoop.
Wow.
Right now, there are fleets of them sitting in sheds and on runways during winter in the Northern Hemisphere, a long way away from Australia's worst ever bushfire disaster.
We need the Prime Minister to get on the phone to Emmanuel Macron in France, Justin Trudeau in Canada, and ask them to send their purpose-built firefighting aircraft, because they could send dozens. They could be here in days.
Greg Mullins is the former Commissioner of New South Wales Fire and Rescue. For almost a year, he and 22 other experts have been pushing politicians to expand the national strategy before it got to this.
No one went into this fire season thinking that we weren't facing a very big challenge.
Just before Christmas, an extra $11 million was handed over.
I wonder whether there's an argument that Scott Morrison and his government didn't do enough.
The role of the Australian Defence Force will become greater and greater in the days ahead.
Its role to multiply as this catastrophe drags on.
So Ryan, Scott Morrison's promising the military will play a greater role, and late this afternoon made a big announcement.
That's right, Scott Morrison has been under a lot of pressure over his government's so-called lack of action when it comes to fighting these fires. Today he called on the Army Reserve, and that means 3,000 more men and women on the ground. He's also committed $20 million to lease 4 water bombing aircraft.
Thank you, Ryan. That's Australia correspondent Ryan Boswell from the Blue Mountains outside Sydney. Iran's vowing revenge against the US after the assassination of one of its highest military commanders. The drone airstrike on Qasem Soleimani was ordered by Donald Trump. Presidential candidate Joe Biden's called it like throwing a stick of dynamite into a tinderbox. US correspondent Rebecca Wright reports.
This is the moment an American drone carried out a highly provocative assassination in Iraq. The precise airstrike captured by security cameras shows one of the most powerful men in the Middle East killed leaving Baghdad airport.
Last night, at my direction, the United States military successfully executed a flawless precision strike that killed the number one terrorist anywhere in the world.
Yes.
If he was assassinated.
Yes, I'm not sure I would cry many tears if he wound up that way.
Was plotting imminent and sinister attacks on American diplomats and military personnel, but we caught him in the act and terminated him.
Iran today in shock and mourning. Soleimani was a hero to the country's hardliners, and his death is a blow to the Iranian regime, which is tonight vowing hard revenge. In Baghdad, some were celebrating, but Americans based there are being ordered to evacuate. And here in the US, the president is insisting he does not want war or regime change, but Iranian aggression must end.
We took action last night to stop a war. We did not take action to start a war.
However, opinion is split on the president's unilateral decision.
For too long, this evil man operated without constraint.
No one should shed a tear over his death. The operation against Soleimani in Iraq was conducted, however, without specific authorization and any advance notification or consultation with Congress.
So tonight, this country teeters on the brink of a military conflict with Iran, and Donald Trump, who campaigned on getting America out of conflicts in the Middle East, is sending another 3,500 troops to the region. For what is now turning into a highly unpredictable and widening conflict. Rebecca Wright, One News, New York.
So, who is Qasem Soleimani and how did it come to this? The BBC's Frank Gardner has more.
For 21 years, General Qasem Soleimani commanded the Quds Force, directing Iran's covert and overt military operations across the Middle East. His death is a major blow to Iran's ambitions, one that's likely to be answered.
I think things are going to get much uglier in the next few days and next few weeks. For your own viewers, this is really a declaration of war by Donald Trump against the Iranian government. Regardless of what you think of Iran and General Soleimani, and there is much blood on his hand, but this is the attack on the nerve center, on the top leadership.
In Syria, he coordinated Iran's bolstering of President Bashar al-Assad's regime, successfully helping him turn back the tide against the rebels. In Iraq, he acted like a puppet master, pulling the strings of numerous Shia militias, often violently hostile to the US. More recently, last summer, his special forces carried out operations in the Gulf, seizing a British-flagged tanker. And in the last week, tensions rose again with the United States. On the 27th of December, a US contractor was killed in a rocket attack on an Iraqi military base, an attack blamed on an Iranian-backed militia. 2 days later, the US responded with airstrikes on Kataib Hezbollah bases in the Middle East, killing 25 fighters. On December the 31st, the US embassy in Baghdad was attacked by a furious crowd, encouraged by Iranian-backed militia leaders. The Pentagon said General Soleimani was preparing further attacks on the US in Iraq. The assassination of this man, General Qasem Soleimani, is probably the most significant event to happen in the Middle East since the Iraq invasion of 2003. Why? Because he was not some fugitive hiding out in mountain caves. He was the Iranian state, answering direct to Ayatollah Khamenei. So this takes the US-Iran tension to a new and dangerous plateau. Already the crowds were out in Tehran today, shouting death to America. Washington has warned Iran not to retaliate for Soleimani's death, yet Iran has vowed to take its revenge in its own time and in its own way.
Glad I'm not an American.
Back home, and an estimated 1,000 people rushed to save a pod of pilot whales that stranded on a Coromandel beach. 4 died, but 7 were saved by the huge crowd in just half a day. Sharon Ferguson has more.
A morning of hard slog and hope finally paid off at high tide.
Amazing. I was swimming out with it for a little bit, and then as soon as it took its first breath, I was awesome.
Locals and holidaymakers at Matarangi on the Coromandel Peninsula rushed with blankets and buckets to the pod of 11 pilot whales stranded at the entrance to the harbour.
We basically were trying to just keep that whale upright the whole time, trying to keep water on its blowhole, trying to keep the water on it, and just making sure it was as comfortable as it could be.
We're pretty worried, especially because we want to make sure they all been out together and that's really important to make sure that they live the next few days after scrambling.
With an estimated 1,000 people showing up to help, DOC took charge. Local fire officers did crowd control.
We sort of set up in the middle. We had a good bunch of guys set up the pump. We then got water to assist in those areas while people were getting buckets of water putting over the whales. It was just like a stream of, a queue of people coming in. It was amazing to watch. It was actually overwhelming. Quite blown away.
As the pod was slowly escorted from the rough waters off the spit, the 3 adults and calf who didn't make it were dragged to their graves.
The sorrow of it as well. Obviously, we've got 4 mammals that have died, and it's a mix between the public and the energy that's created when people want to come in and help and support. So it's this real sort of emotional time.
We leave them here until we get to a stage where we believe we can recover the bones, and the bones that will be used for cultural carving and purposes.
Volunteers in boats and jet skis who escorted the pod out of the harbour say all 7 seemed in good condition, which means it's unlikely they'll re-strand. That said, locals are keeping a close eye on the horizon.
A couple they did swim away, but as we watch them, they keep on going, so they're in good shape.
Samples will be taken from the carcasses before they're buried, and a crew is on standby in case the mammals try to return. Sharon Ferguson, One News.
And the Department of Conservation's continuing to investigate the treatment of a great white shark caught in a net at Auckland's Orewa Beach. The shark was hauled in by fishermen on Thursday afternoon. Great whites are a protected species. The beachgoers
This
say
was
those
sad
who kill
hearing
the
about
predator
this,
hampered
wasn't it?
efforts to return it to the sea. Some witnesses also reported seeing people kick the shark. Dock staff have reviewed videos taken by onlookers. They're now considering what further action will be taken. Well, coming up, a mail drop with a difference in the Marlborough Sounds. We're on the water with Civil Defence as they work to get vital advice to isolated people. A tiny tube with so much potential. Next, find out how it could be key to limiting the damage caused by strokes. And the lengths one zoo's going to make sure the animals aren't overindulging during the holidays.
It's a Super Summer Saturday tonight on One.
Yeah, that was a very good comment. Or I was appreciated that they told us what people who are really experts in Middle East politics, what they said, and the fact that they said that one guy said that assassination is on the same kind of level as the United States invasion of Iraq in 2003. That's how bad he felt it is, you know. And the fact that it wasn't somebody like hiding away like Saddam Hussein. It was a man who's in full view, you know, in doing his work as a leader. It'll either make or break old Donald Trump.
He's just such a painful person, really, isn't he? I guess there's no problem if you like him. Then I guess there's no problem. But if you don't, it's very painful.
That's true, but whether you like him or you don't like him, the action is very drastic. Even if I was a supporter of Donald Trump, I would be worried that he'd gone too far, you know. Just such a huge thing to have done. It's amazing that the man was so vulnerable.
It might not be some people's first choice for holiday reading, but Civil Defence is delivering crucial information packs to residents and visitors in the Marlborough Sounds. The coastal area is a magnet for holidaymakers over summer, but should disaster strike, many could be left isolated. Caitlin Ruddock goes on an all-important mail run around the bays.
Out here, this kind of mail delivery is just a part of daily life.
Critical
supplies for those living in the secluded parts of Pelorus Sound.
Most of them have no road access, they're boat access only. They may have very interrupted or limited communications.
All the more reason why Civil Defence has planned a mail drop of its own. 100 information packs to help help prepare people for an emergency,
only
especially if they're
get in
isolated for weeks.
by
Fire, landslides and earthquakes are major hazards for this area, and with 20% of the country's
by boat.
coastline, it's also exposed to the risk of a tsunami. The pack includes information on supplies, an evacuation checklist, and how to stay informed.
How many days did you ever be self-sufficient for?
Oh, forever. Many residents are used to coping alone, but in the summer months, there are tourists too.
A lot of people out here who live here have summer visitors. So how prepared are you to look after your visitors for much longer than usual?
Natalie Everett remembers being cut off in a storm.
We had a huge surge coming in the bay. I mean, it was actually, I torched out the kitchen window and there was waves breaking on the grass.
She has a plan in place.
We have our own water supplies here, but we also keep bottled water in the house all the time. We're self-sufficient for power because we've got solar panels, generators and water power when it's been raining.
Civil Defence says those on holiday needn't switch into survival mode, but should be smart about their preparations.
The champagne and blue cheese are going to run out pretty quickly. So take some boring old tin spaghetti.
Better to be stuck in paradise than in a nightmare. Caitlin Ruddock, One News.
Good advice.
Two men who appeared in the 2019 documentary Leaving Neverland, alleging sexual abuse by Michael Jackson, have been given the go-ahead to sue two of the late singer's companies. Wade Robson and James Safechuck say they were abused by the pop star in the early 1990s. A California appeals court ruled the pair could proceed with their lawsuits because of a change in state law extending the statute of limitations. Michael Jackson died in 2009 and his family has denied all claims of abuse. An unlikely sight on the streets of Venice has annoyed locals and left two bird owners out of pocket. Police received numerous calls about the visitors, initially thought to be emus, but later identified as rheas, a flightless bird from South Africa. The owners are reportedly circus members who brought their birds into Venice on the train. They were fined €400 each. Several people have been injured during a traditional bull running event in Peru. It's part of a New Year's festival which sees people gather, staring down the bull while it runs through the crowd. A number of people needed treatment for injuries after being picked up and tossed around by the bull. Stroke is one of our biggest killers, but a revolutionary new procedure is providing new hope. A world-first trial's underway in Australia, which doctors say could one day help save millions of lives worldwide. Channel 9's Jessica Stanley explains.
Ken Sleeman's life changed forever when he suffered a stroke 14 years ago.
This side of my body doesn't exist.
The type of stroke, a bleed within the brain, the most lethal.
The doctors told us, prepare in the next